Happy Flag Day. And you know, it's interesting that it is Flag Day today because I really feel that Zephyr has truly planted her flag in Ulster County. And she planted her flag in Kingston, New York, and more importantly, she planted her flag on Broadway, an area that's in transition. So we thank you for that. And you know, I think the only thing that I could really allude to about Flag Day and Zephyr that makes the most sense to me is that 100 years ago, President Woodrow Wilson had really underscored and declared it Flag Day, and he said these words. He said, it gives us an opportunity to reconnect to our nation. And I think with Zephyr Teachout, we have just that opportunity. So here she is.
We are going to turn the 19th Congressional District blue. And before I say a few words, I want to thank the elected officials who are here. I really appreciate you coming out. It's a really busy time of year in politics. So first of all, I just want to, from my heart, thank the people's advocate, the people's voice, Elliot Auerbach, who is a pillar of Ulster County and somebody that we all know is going to fight for people all the time. Thank you for that introduction. I want to acknowledge Hector. You're here, right? Hector Rodriguez. Jennifer Schwartz-Berkey. There she is. Dan Torres. Dan Torres, how many petition signatures did you get for the Teachout campaign?
Oh, we got over 300 in the call.
Incredible. Joe Donaldson. You're Joe, yes. Thank you, Joe. I am all about, and we are all about grassroots organizing, not just this month, but next month, not just this year, but next year, because a big part of this campaign is building from the grassroots up and being part of building and supporting the Democratic Party. So really happy that Joe's here. Tom Schimmerling from Delaware. Oh, you don't know Tom, Tom shows up everywhere. How far did you drive, Tom? This is like a wedding. What's the farthest that you drove?
I think someone went down to Columbia County. That was a long drive.
Okay. And we have Bob from Otsego. So, yes. And all of those that I mentioned have also been active volunteers and supporters on this campaign. And I really want to thank the extraordinary volunteers who have already, in 2 weekends of door knocking and phone banking, identified over 1,000 primary voters who are going to vote Teachout 2 weeks from today. So I have a list of endorsements here, but I don't want to take up your time. Okay, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Endorsements?
Yeah.
You want to hear how we have support from across the 19th Congressional District? From insiders, outsiders, labor, activists, people who are coming at this race in so many different ways, but looking for a Democrat to represent the 19th Congressional District. We have the support of Emily's List, End Citizens United, the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, Democracy for America, Working Families Party, Citizen Action Move On, and the Congressional Progressive Caucus. We have the support of Schoharie, Otsego, Rensselaer, Dutchess, and the Ulster County Democratic Committee. We have the support, and today they just presented me with a contribution to come with that support of a union that is going to be so critical for us, NYSIT. NYSIT has already been out there door knocking with us, absolutely critical, so thrilled to have NYSIT support. Communication Workers of America, thank you very much. I was out there on the strike lines with them. They are in here going door to door with us, and we are my heart is full with the win in the Verizon fight recently. That was an extraordinary, historic victory. We have the Amalgamated Transit Union, the NEA, and National Nurses United. Tell me if I miss anyone. We have Tom Rocco, Jennifer Schwartzberkey, Mana Jo Green, Jim DeLone, Jen Metzger, Dan Torres, Neil Bettis, Tim Rogers, Kingston Mayor Steve Noble, who couldn't make it tonight, but thank you, Steve. Elliot, Mike Hine, who was an early supporter. Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, and we have the endorsements of both Senator Chuck Schumer and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. So we are coming in like a tech. And I'm going to be brief today. A lot of you have seen me speak elsewhere. Today is a day for celebrating and pushing forward to the last 2-week final push before the primary. What day is the primary? Tuesday. Do you know anybody who doesn't know that? Yes. Okay, leave now and go call them. Many people don't know that. So it's the next 2 weeks is really going to be a push towards that. As you know, my name is Zephyr Teachout. I am from a rural area, Windsor County, not too far from here. It's a dairy community. I grew up in about 5 miles from a 2,000-person town. So Kingston is the big city. And I'm running for Congress because Congress is a mess.
Yes, it is.
It's gridlocked. It's corrupted. Congress members aren't talking to each other, they're talking to their donors. Mm-hmm. They're spending half their time dialing for dollars instead of figuring out how to do the hard work. And the reason they're doing it is because our system isn't working right now. Yeah, it's a broken system. So I'm ready to shake things up. To raise up the voices of people who feel shut out. I talk to people in every corner of this district. I was just talking to a music teacher from Ellenville who says, I don't know, should I give up on politics? People feel so close to giving up because they feel angry or numb or disconnected, depending on who you talk to, and they're not wrong to be angry, right? So I believe that the way that we deal with this brokenness and this historic crisis that we have in our democracy and our economy is by bringing everybody to Washington with me. I want to bring the voice of the small retail store owner in Millerton and the mother of the special needs kid who I was just talking to in New Paltz, and the person suffering from Lyme disease in Rhinebeck. I want to bring all of those voices that are not being heard. And look, we may not win every fight, but if we're all there, if people's voices are there, instead of big donors' voices are there, we can shake things up and we can get to that basic change that we need to push our country forward so that we can have a thriving middle-class economy, so people can have jobs that they can trust, that can have health care they can afford, and they have a future that they can really, really look forward to. So it's a very, you can feel it, it's a historic year. You know, the tectonic plates of the country are shifting. Right? And those are the years that it is the most important to speak loudly with a clear moral vision of the kind of country that we want to have. So it's also a tough year. I know there's going to be a lot of super PAC money spent against me. So take a good look at me now before I turn into a monster. And the way to fight that super PAC money is grassroots organizing. That's the only way to do it. But in a tough year, it's really important that we bring people who are ready to be tough, to be fearless, and have won tough fights. I've spent my entire career engaging in tough fights and winning those tough fights. So a couple years ago, people told me that it was not a good idea to run for governor of New York State in the Democratic primary. In 3 months, we won 34% of the vote. Nobody thought we'd do that. We raised up people's voices that were shut out. We raised up the voices of people who'd been fighting for a fracking ban, who'd been fighting against Common Core, and we collectively won real victories. We won that tough fight for a fracking ban in New York State. And we won it by raising up people's voices and not being afraid. We have a ways to go, but we are starting to win the fight against Common Core and high-stakes testing. Because of teachers and parents who are speaking up against what's actually happening in the classroom and not being afraid. But I gotta tell you, 9 years ago, when I was the national director of the Sunlight Foundation, I was in tough fights and I was winning those tough fights. We won tough fights against federal defense contractors, and we got the federal contracting database online against a big money interest. 6 years ago, after the crash of 2008, I co-founded a group dedicated to breaking up big banks. We haven't won yet. But we brought 90,000 people's voices to Washington, D.C., saying we need to support Glass-Steagall. We brought citizen lobbyists to bear, and I know because we were there, we helped be part of the reform that was Dodd-Frank. I am so proud of having been part of the extraordinary victory that we got last year and that was reaffirmed today for network neutrality. People have no business telling you what your politics should be. And I am proud to have been fighting for network neutrality for years. I put together a brief on this fight in the appellate court. Some of you might have seen. We just won that today on network neutrality. The big cable companies wanted to stop it. But the way I work, you never do something alone. So I co-wrote this brief with a friend of mine, Sasha Meinrath, and then we got a few of our friends to join us. 47,000 users of the internet. We submitted the People's Brief for demanding net neutrality because it is those voices that matter in having an open internet. That's the way I work, that's the way I fight, that's the way I win.
Yeah.
So we can have an education policy that actually serves kids instead of privatizers. We can have I got so much to get to, but you can clap, it's okay. We can have clean water. We can protect our Hudson, and we can protect the land of little rivers. We can have 100% renewable energy, not next year, but soon, if we decide that is our priority. We can have a small business economy. We can have kids in our local schools eating apples that were grown here and drinking milk that comes from here, instead of apples that are grown here and then shipped to Texas to get sliced and then shipped back here. Right? We can have all of those things, but it's going to take taking on some of the most powerful interests, and I'm going to need all of you to come with me. So, here's your job. Ready?
Ready.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Woo! Come on. How ready are you?
Ready.
Okay, we've got 2 weeks. Between 10 and 30,000 people are going to vote in this primary in 2 weeks. We want to talk to all of them. We want to let them know that there is a primary. We want to let them know that I am ready to fight and win against John Faso, is probably the Republican nominee. We'll see, but I'm ready to fight and win against the Republican nominee, and that I'm going to keep fighting when I'm in Congress. So where am I? Let's see, Rob. Hey, Derek. Rob. Okay, Brandon and Pat.
Up front.
Where's Pat?
He's out front. Made in the
You
table.
gotta bring it in. These are the most important people. Rob, Brandon, and Pat. Can you guys come up front so you can look familiar? All right. So Rob, Brandon, and Pat are the field organizers for the Teach Out for Congress campaign. And so, if you have time to make phone calls to people who don't know the date of the primary, which is most people, these are your people to tell you who to call. If you have time to go door knocking, these are the people to call. And I want you to each get in touch with, let's see, what's your area? Your Duchess?
Northern Ulster.
Northern Ulster?
Southern Ulster.
Southern Ulster. And you can also get in touch with any of them if you're outside of those areas. But these are the people, because we're all about door knocking and phone banking right now. We've got to do it. You guys know what's happened to our local media. We have great local media, but a lot of people don't necessarily know what's going on. It is all the more important to have somebody at the doors. And I was just talking to a friend of mine who said that she did some door knocking this weekend. And one woman said to her, well, because you're the first person that came to my door, I'm going to vote for Zephyr. It really, really, really matters. It's an extraordinary show of our grassroots strengths. The way we're going to take on big money is with big hearts going door to door. So these are your people. Thank you. And I want to also introduce you to my campaign manager, Kim. Rob, my policy director, is here. Josh, my finance assistant. Ellen, my finance director. Can I see everybody? Oh yeah, where's Devin? Devin, oh my goodness. Devin is the master switch. Devin is our field director. So Devin has been listening and working with all of you. And if you have ideas about other ways we can reach people, please be in touch with Devin. But if we're going to be a grassroots campaign, it starts now. It's already been starting. Every door you knock on makes a difference, not just for the next 2 weeks, and it really does. We really need people on the doors the next 2 weeks. But it also makes a difference in November, because it's building that web of person-to-person contact that is the strongest web that we can build against the big money that's taking over. So, I will look forward to talking to you. I'll be around for a little bit after this. I know some people want to have a personal conversation. Thank you so much for coming out today. My heart is full. Thank you for volunteering. Thank you for being part of this historic moment where we're going to turn the 19th blue.